Well, hello everyone and welcome again to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. Well, today's conversation is all about being a mother, overcoming challenges and the pain that it brings, but also the joy you find from being a mother. How do we as mothers find ourselves in a community? As they always say, it takes a community to raise a family. How do we find this bubble or net group that we could fit into, that we could talk about our problems and also find solutions to them? My guest did just that. She didn't just talk about the issue. She formed a community, Mumbo Forum, where they have guests go on a monthly basis. They talk about issues. They help charities who are dealing with these issues and find better ways to solve women's problems. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest, Monique Hodgson. She's a mother, wife, brand strategist, diplomat, keynote speaker, ambassador for AllBright, contributor, editor for Women of the City, Mama's magazine. But if you dig deeper, she's known as born in Panama, made in Milan, based in London. So she talks about her background, why she felt the need to get this forum together to help other women. Also, we talk about, as a diplomat, helping her country, Panama, to change the communication, change the language that's being felt when people communicate about the country. Show the positive inside, show the positive about the country and what it has for it. Her vision, Mumbo, started in late 2019 as a platform and has now got a movement that aims to unite women through motherhood with social impact initiative. Today, Mumbo Forum is a global network forum for mothers that inspires social change, empowers mothers, and encourages future generations. With a combined online audience of 4 million plus women. Her key quotes: "The moment I lost myself in motherhood was also the moment for an opportunity to find my feet again." Well, let's talk to Monique, understand what she means by that, and understand how we can all find our joy. Doesn't matter what we're going through, challenging days with the kids, and live with the pain of still having a beautiful baby boy or girl, but still find our joy. Meet my wonderful guest, Monique Hodgson. Well, hello everyone and welcome again to Painless Universal. As I said in my introduction, today's conversation is really about mothers. It's for mothers to really listen to this conversation to figure out how to find your own joy, no matter what you do in life. Being a mother can be really, really tough. So people find when they have children, it changes your lifestyle, changes who you are, the way you look, the way you feel, and your responsibility also changes. My guest, as I said, she's a mother, she's a wife, brand strategist, diplomat, keynote speaker, ambassador for AllBright, contributing editor of Women of the City, Mama magazine. Her background includes luxury branding, media relationship, and international affairs. Monique, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm very well, thank you. And every time I listen to the bio, I'm like, oh God, I need to resume that a bit shorter.
It's amazing. I didn't even read the full thing because the full film was read previously. So you have done amazingly well. Before we get started, who are you?
So my name is Monique Hodgson, and I am the founder and CEO of Mumbo Forum, which is a platform for mothers. Our aim with this platform is mainly to unite and empower women and build a community that provides the tools that we all need really to feel ourselves again. And our ethos is basically empowering women that wants to have a family, have a career, and make a difference. Because I think one shouldn't be exclusive to the other. And I think that's one of the things I encountered myself and what truly ignited me to wanting to create this platform. It was the feeling that very unspoken, very in the non, people don't say it, but you almost feel like you have to choose if you want to do a good job. And before, in the past, that was the case. And nowadays with technology and obviously what women have achieved, I just think motherhood is one of those things that people haven't updated in their books. So yeah, that's how it started. And also, I guess I also wear another hat. I am a diplomat because I'm an attaché for the Embassy of Panama here in the UK. And that's where I'm from. I'm from Panama. So yeah, I help them on country branding, and it's all about branding really, from international affairs to luxury. I am passionate about telling stories. So
I love that. I love that. I love that about you. But can you tell me a little bit about your background growing up? What was it like? Because I always wonder when people are who they are today, what was their background growing up? What was your family like growing up as a child?
Yeah, that is actually a really good question, because I believe probably, well, I grew up in a family where women are very strong. To me, that was really a normality. So whenever I grew up and I come to realize that in other countries that's actually not the reality, I was even more forward in wanting to advocate for women all around the world to really just own themselves in their space. And I also come from a family of females that own their own businesses. So I always had the mindset that I wanted to also create my own legacy and my own path. And I am an expat as well. So I am born in Panama. I went to study in Italy, in Milan, and now I live in London. And I think that transition of multiple cities, cultural exposure, language as well, it has probably put a little bit, a building blocks to probably what I and who I am today. Yeah.
No, because actually that was one of the next question I was going to ask you, because he says in your pen, you were born in Panama, made in Milan, based in London. What life lessons did you learn by moving from country, almost like continent, but UK and London is the European country, but still you lived in Panama, then you went to Milan, then you're now based in London. I mean, what life lessons did these movements teach you?
Oh, it was incredible, but I think so Panama is a small country. It's a country where everybody feels familiar, so as a small society, everybody knows everybody. And that has an effect also in the way you behave. I always knew I wanted to study abroad. And even though my family encouraged me to stay closer to home, which would be USA, I was very much, I had in my mind, I wanted to come to Europe. And Istituto Rangoni for me was the mecca for design and branding, and it's where I wanted to go. So Milan seemed to me like a good place to start, and it was quite a change. I mean, complete change. I thought, well, here I am going out of my fishbowl into the sea, and even though at the beginning it feels like that when you're new in a town, what I came to discover is like wherever you go around the world, there is another pond, there is another fishbowl. You're just joining a bigger fishbowl. And I ended up meeting the city so well, and its citizens, just this community. And it was lovely to sort of rediscover the sense of community again. And I think everybody who's an expat would probably identify with that feeling of just coming somewhere and you gotta make your friends, make your way, just build this support network around you from the ground up. And I really enjoyed doing that. I enjoy the exposure to just people from complete different backgrounds. And what it truly does, it opens your mind, and it opens the way, whatever you just grow with whatever other people know, and your story just multiplies. Yeah. So best thing ever, definitely getting away of my comfort zone.
That's really amazing, because a lot of people find it struggle to move from one area to the other. You're also a very strong advocate for women's rights, mental health, and climate change. When you look at areas to support, it's always so difficult because there's just so many causes to put our amount to support that causes. But you choose some very, very, very good causes. Women's rights is something that's constantly on the news, constantly being talked about. Mental health is a big issue right now. Then the climate change, let's not get started on that. So no, because where do you even start with why did you pick these three initiatives to put your, say these are areas I want to support? And if someone wants to make a change on these areas, like someone who's going to listen to this conversation, how can you really make a change in these three areas you've chosen?
Yeah, that's another great question. So I think a lot of people, whenever they decide to advocate for different causes, right? There's so many different causes out there. I think often it's something that links to your personal experience or to something that truly feels like a calling. The first calling I felt, I think, when I became a mother was the awareness of how different, I'm working, the awareness of, suddenly gender pay gap. Oh my God, this is a thing. Because as I mentioned before, in my family, women are I'm very strong. I come from a very strong women in my life. I never had this concept of or awareness about as much about when we talk gender pay gap or women just, this is the whole history of what we've been through. And moving to Europe and meeting other women, just meeting different realities made me understand actually we're not where we need to be. And it's one of the causes I just felt it's close to my heart to genuinely just speak up whenever I found something unfair. So the first time I did that was probably with Mumbo Forum. When I became a mother, I did felt that the system just wasn't in place for something that would allow women to not just be a mother but continue their career, just talking about things like going back to work after being a mother, such a big gap of work and nothing in place to help you go back to your feet. It's almost like it's by default, it's really hard to climb that ladder. And I just felt that surely that system doesn't feel put in place by somebody that wants women to truly achieve equality. So just, I guess, from motherhood, it was so much obvious to me how far back we still are in our society, in our system, that still needs to be in place. So Mumbo Forum was my way of sort of creating awareness, bringing people together, experts, people who have got a following and a voice, and asking them just big questions and hearing what people have to say and trying to just inspire them to also ask themselves that question and just think for themselves, what can they do within their environment. And I think awareness is a very powerful thing, because it's like starting a wave. So you don't know how far it's going to go, but I think if you can start the wave, if you can start giving people facts, all, reasons to believing something, and then make them question their reality so that they can do something about it.
That's true. Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah.
And so if anyone wants to get started, like in the climate change one or in your mental health, what advice would you give to someone who's keen to get started and supporting these causes?
Yeah, I'm just going actually for the mental health and the climate change. So the mental health was, of course, equally linked to motherhood, because like you said at the beginning, women experience a lot of challenges. Your identity changes, your level of confidence declines. And so, mental health, from my personal experience, I experienced very close to depression when my complete reality changed. And I just, after pivoting back and feeling like myself again, I needed to do something for women that I felt were going through the same thing. That's how I got there. And then for the climate change, I'm just very committed to trying to do something. Again, after becoming a mother, I'm just thinking of the next generation, and I'm thinking, what kind of planet are we going to leave behind? And also how, to me, the way I do stuff for climate change, firstly, I'm a committee member of Panama Wildlife Conservation Charity, which is a reforestation charity in Panama, based in the UK. And I also practice conscious parenting and encourage people from my community to, give each other tools on how to pass this knowledge to the next generation. How can we tell our children to do better? And just tell them from the very early age, how to possibly make a positive impact. Because I wasn't told that. I don't think if you were, but we've come from a generation where it wasn't a thing. And now I feel it's our responsibility to pass that on as the mothers of this generation for the next, so they don't come across that too late. So I think it's just about, again, making people aware. That's good, Monique. You work for the Embassy of Panama. Panama is a very small country, and not a lot of people know about it. I mean, unless you hear, and if you do hear about Panama, you don't hear about it for the right reasons. You hear about it for other reasons, but not normally for right reasons. And you currently work there, so, and you're a diplomat, and you advise your government on branding strategy, and international affairs. What are some of the strategies for a successful brand? Mm. So it's so important that the branding thing, I mean, when you think country brand, you think, like you just say yourself, the first things that come to mind when you think of that country. So you think of Cuba and you think of tobacco, you think of really good, there's association to certain things and expectations. And of course, we have got some work to do in cleaning our name for some very unfortunate, things in the past with press, like the Panama Papers and stuff that we need to fix. But I think perception is a very strong thing. And we are a country that we're so committed to transparency. In fact, we are so committed to also climate change. We're number 3 in the world, just announced this year, carbon negative. I'm very excited about that because as a country, I feel like we're trying to contribute positively, obviously, to the whole world. And my job is to create the channels and sort of attract the right attention, the right media attention, so we can pass that updated message, updated data to the ears and eyes of people that, like you said, might not hear this thing from who, right? So it's my job to sort of update them with this kind of news and try to find opportunities and interviews and also sort of help shape the message also to the public in the UK. Because I'm at the Embassy of Panama in the UK, and my role, I guess, very specifically is understanding what the UK consumer cares about and also translate our message to what they would understand and what would feel more digestible. So
that's really good. Yeah. Exactly. You're doing a good job. It's not easy, but it's all about how do you convince the media? How do you tell the media to tell this good story? If they can't do it, you guys have to figure, I guess, and any individual have to figure out their own ways of communicating the story that makes sense. Yeah. Panama is a beautiful place. I must say, you have the most amazing people around in Panama, and the food is great, and there's much more.
It's an incredible country. Honestly, it's a small country. We're a dollarized economy. It's, the transparency is incredible. The people are amazing. But I think the most important thing is that, Panama, apart from the Panama Canal and everything else, we are, a country that people truly care and culturally very rich because of history. And I think it's like I said, it's part of my job to sort of bring these other news light. And there would be, obviously, from the government, there's the overall global strategy of obviously the communication strategy. And in this case, we actually are very moving forward to sustainability communication. But my role and the role of a lot of people in the different embassies around the world is to take that information and translate it to the public that you are dealing with. So, the way you would appeal to somebody in Italy would be very different the way you would appeal to somebody in the UK, and the kind of news they would pay more attention to would be different. So I guess that's sort of then the filter system that we have to do. And it's exciting. I just really enjoy communications and PR and that sort of thing. And it's really amazing also to challenge people's beliefs.
Yes,
that's becoming my thing.
You're doing great. Yeah, you got appointed to the Panama Wildlife Conservation Charity in the UK. I know you did talk about it. What is that, and why did you decide to get involved with that charity in particular?
Yeah, well, firstly, it's sort of I wanted to help, and the way I help them is I give them advice on how to get sponsored by the private sector and basically how to monetize aspects of their events in order to raise funds for the charity, and also simply just putting a light to investors that I know about this charity and the impact it's having. The charity was set up by a guy called Luis Ureña, who is a Panamanian scientist and photographer based here in the UK. And the charity is all about doing conservation, biodiversity, and forest. And they're saving at the moment a very endangered species of frogs in Panama, and they managed to grab a group of frogs, bring them into the UK. They're in Manchester University at the moment and study them, and they try to protect this species. They're just actively doing things, and I just thought, what a wonderful thing. Firstly, it's based in the UK, so I can help them here. Secondly, it's linked to my country, but thirdly, they're actually doing something so important. And Now, being a country being carbon negative, I think it's more relevant than ever to support our initiatives, because being carbon neutral means you're taking in whatever your emissions are. But negative means you're taking in yours and the rest of the world. So I think now more than ever, we are trying to truly make a spotlight about the fact that we are doing something for the whole world, and like therefore whatever it is that puts towards that to make it even bigger as an impact, I think it's probably a good place to start.
Yeah, it's true, because a lot of people don't understand or know how to start. And I think by listening to your conversation, that will give an incline that you could actually just volunteer your time as well to help a conversation, help a charity who's doing this work. Yeah. And just give them your advice on what they can do to improve themselves, get more money so they can improve the work they're doing. I have to go to the most interesting topic of what you do. You've launched a platform, and I think you launched a couple of years ago, called the Mumbo Forum.
Mumbo Forum.
And as you quoted, the moment I lost myself in motherhood was also the moment for an opportunity to find my feet again and stand even taller than before. Tell me, what is Mumbo Forum?
So that is a big passion of mine. So Mumbo Forum is a platform for women to come together, especially mothers, and basically grow our network, grow our tribe. It came from the idea that, have you ever heard a saying, it takes a tribe to raise the children?
Absolutely.
It does take a tribe, but the right tribe. I felt from my experience when I became a mother, there are many mom groups out there. This is not a mom group. What it is it's a platform that very, very specifically wants to support women that wants to be a mother and also be a founder, be a CEO, be a professional, and feels that very specific identity of being in between two worlds. And, with the challenges that come, I think it was just so needed, a platform that not only connects you to like-minded women, but actually to experts that give you advice and tools on how to navigate that. We come together on a monthly basis. We do panel talks, we do charity galas. It's truly, and I really emphasize the importance not only on to bring awareness and people together, but to actively come together to do some philanthropy. It's so important because, as women in a very privileged city like London, and how hard you find motherhood here, I just can't imagine, being a mom and being in a refugee camp, or being a mom and being in a zone of war, which is why, the appeal to them, to, remind them how hard it is, and then to also open their hearts and to actively do something about it, not just for ourselves, but for others. And that automatically has such a powerful impact in uniting people, just making you feel like you're truly contributing to society in a small way, I guess.
Honestly, it's such a difficult thing being a mother, and I love what you said about being a mother. If being a mother in the UK is hard, imagine in some parts of the world where being a mother is even 20 times harder, because you don't have access to shelter, you don't have access to basic necessity. And how do we encourage ourselves to have this community? Because it's by listening to someone. If something happens within your whole household, you could listen to someone, you could talk about it and share your own experience. Why is it important to you to empower women, especially mothers, and encourage future generation?
I think it's important because it's needed, because people need it. There has been, I'll give you an example. There's been a very interesting case study that actually the Duchess of Cambridge put together. She put together a research, and it's called The First 5 Years. And the importance around the first 5 years of existence of a human being, and how that alone can shape societies. And actually she was bringing awareness about that, why that should be an issue, and in the first priority of governments and societies, and how people actually should, almost champion more parents and the work and sacrifices that they do. I read this, and it truly resonated with everything we're doing. I think the importance of empowering women is to remind them of the importance of their role, because they're told every day, you're just a mom, like you're basically giving up a lot and you're just a mom, where you're actually so much more. You're a society shaper. You're passing down the values of the next generation. And when we're gone, literally our parents were the people that shaped us. So if we have such a massive, responsibility, then how come women and mothers and even parents are not seen as so important role? So I was determined to change that with facts, and also empowering the next generation, because it's so important. That's the whole point of parenting, is to try to make the next generation better and pass whatever we've learned to our children. But I think the irony is that a lot of women and myself, I find that I feel my children are teaching me a lot more than I even expected. So it's quite a transformational thing, and has to be shared. I think it's a necessity.
My final question, Monique, before I let you go, I know what a busy schedule you have. Why do you think it's important? I know you kind of answered that, to build a better society for all of us. Why do you think it's important?
Well, it's a good question, actually. I think the importance of it is the importance of anybody of trying to build a legacy. To me, I feel when I became a mother, I suddenly started to be aware of a legacy. Oh my goodness, I am leaving this behind. This is going to be part of what I've created, and sort of felt the enormous need and responsibility to try and do that consciously and the best possible way I could. And I think that ignited in me the importance of also sharing that with others and coming together to really bring the best of us for the next generation. And I think the importance of that will leave behind. And I think it's almost our responsibility, when you see how women in history have gone so many sacrifices for us to be here today, I think it's almost a duty to continue that, to carry that on. Like, why stop now, right? So it's so important to have that responsibility and almost feel like thank you, and then pass it for the next generation to hopefully then take it to the next level. And one day we'll definitely achieve generation equality. Like
we always say, how you train your children, you pass that on. If you give them kindness, love, support, appreciation, peace, they pass that on. And it's so important as us mothers and parents to be able to pass that on and share that, and put that into our kids. So any final words before I let you go?
Well, nothing other than I really hope that at least for mothers out there that, some of this might ignite you to perhaps look into ways that, you can actively contribute, maybe to a local charity or joining a group of people and just, actively doing something for the bigger good. Because I think that alone, whilst doing it, makes us feel better, but also they say children don't do what you're told, but what you do. So I think just by being conscious of doing things and then inspire others, I think that's the best thing we can do possibly with our life, is to hopefully inspire others to also join in and do something good.
Well, Monique, thank you so much. I really
thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and
I'm excited for this conversation. I'm excited for your music. Keep going, keep shining, and thank you so much for your time.